that. Let me ask you, why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this. I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today. They represented a time where I was reflecting on something that I believe that the president had said rather than who he is. I don't presume that anyone is a racist.
You don't believe anyone is a racist?
I don't start by presuming anyone is a racist.
Failed to do that. Failed to do that. Let me ask you, why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this. I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today. They represented a time where I was reflecting on something that I believe that the president had said rather than who he is. I don't presume that anyone is a racist.
You don't believe anyone is a racist?
I don't start by presuming anyone is a racist.
Failed.
You think a lot of people are racist, lady? Come on. Head of NPR, you don't think anyone is racist? Not even a little bit? Clown World, good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. We are powered by Liberty and coffee. Good morning, pineapples. Delicious, fine flavors. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal a few weeks ago. They said, people are drinking less coffee. They're drinking more tea. And I'm like, that is some Asian bullshit. No, this is America. This is some British. You know what it is? No, it's not the Asians. It's the British. But we also sell tea, so Austin, you can't hate on it too much. It's the Wake Up America show. We're powered by Liberty and money. Oh, Quest Fanning, just stop trying to make excuses for how autistic your ass is. Floby Tenderson, Andy Opperman, Trapper220, Will Run Riot, all hanging out in the chat. Andy Opperman, what's up? Floby Tenderson, such a funny name. Can't wait to see you, Quest. You know I'm just teasing, bud. We're going to hang out in Washington, D.C. for my own personal exclusive AP D.C. Liberty Tour. It's going to be awesome. May 1st to the 3rd in Washington, D.C. Amy J. East, she's a nurse. You know what they say about nurses. She's not here to defend herself, so I'll pick on her. Just like Camellia, who'll be here with us today. It's Thirsty Thursday. A royal Thirsty Thursday. It's too warm. Nice cardigan. Pull over. It's a cardigan, but thanks. What's up, Caleb Vanderfelt, Cecilia H. The weather in Jefferson City. Ooh la la. Ashley Ann 8. Brad Beckman's here. He knows what it's like in JC. Some people are here from Missouri. Will Run Riot. How's it down there in Springfield, boy? How's it where you're at? Some people are watching us all the way from the Isle of Alderney. And I don't mean to talk too much smack about the tea-drinking Brits, but it does feel as if the rest of the world is really trying to annoy us. They can't accept the outcome of our democratic election. All hail God Emperor, Lord and above us and Savior, Donald Trump. Help me, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Save us, Donald Trump. Dear Donald Trump, please save us. By the power of thy tariffs, please make America great again. And by J.D. Vance's beard, but please don't add Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to any Signal group chats. Guys, national security. That's the thing we're supposed to be good at. Pete Hegseth, Mike Waltz, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance are all in a group chat. They're bombing the Houthis. And lo and behold, somebody has had fat finger. They have added Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, to the Signal group chat. Guys, what is wrong with you? No.
Oh, God. Oh, God, please,
and I just love... No matter what your opinion is on something like this, doesn't matter what it is, you're wrong, because the million shrinking partisans on one side and the million shrinking well, I say a billion because are there really any more Democrats left anymore? They're shrinking. They're gone. The Democrats are so unpopular. Their strategy, as we learned yesterday, to attack the governor of Texas for being disabled. We're not popular enough. Like their whole thing, remember their whole thing was, You know, how dare Trump mock the disabled? Because the reporter, hold on, I want to get my mic out of the way for this because I'm about to do the Trump doing the reporter impression that they say wasn't the reporter, but it was like he was acting like, okay, just you should know what I'm talking about here by what I'm doing. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like this, how was that? Was that a good impression? You like impressions? The king of all libertarians will be here today on the Wake Up America show. Yes, the benevolent dictator over all of us. I know many of you are for the statist must run away, be terrified. It's His grace sent down from heaven with his wisdom shall speak today of Tesla terrorism and woke wildlings. The wildlings. The woke wildlings. Can you tell we've been watching a little bit of Game of Thrones? Stephanie last night said she missed it. Dragon tits, that's what I call it. Will Run Riot says Springfield, high crime rates, prosecutors who are more concerned with expired tags, also known as the state not getting their extortion money, than investigating actual crimes. Springfield is what Will Run Riot. Oh, I'm sorry, Will. Austin, don't hit that applause button too many times. It drives off the normies. 69 people watching the Wake Up America show. God, I want to hit that applause button so bad because that is actually kind of sweet. It's nice. What's up? Is Prince Harry really leaving? Don't you lie to me, Trapper, in the chat. Don't you lie to me about Prince Harry leaving. That would be another reason. So we drink tea in his honor. Take Meghan Markle with you. I do say America needs no king. We have executive orders. Whoops. Yes. Okay. Good point. Okay. Sign an executive order that says no leftist psychopaths are allowed in the national security. We're going to bomb you, chat. Okay, guys. It wasn't national security. It wasn't confidential. Okay. Whatever you want to say, guys. Let's run a tight ship over there. All right. You know, we like you, but you know, you have the mandate of the people for at least as long as we give it to you until the next batch of clowns comes in and starts screwing things up again. Government screws up, destroys everything it touches. You're not going to hear people saying things like that on any other tour. When we go to Washington, D.C., May 1st to the 3rd, and we're doing our tour group, you know, there might be a few conservative Republicans, you know, that maybe chip. If we go to Thomas Massey's office on the tour, because we're going to stop by my congressman, Bob Bonner, who's a wonderful guy. Once we stop by his office, we're going to go over to Thomas Massey and pick on him and see if he's there. Just ask him to show us his guns. And maybe Chip Roy of Texas might have a few based and red-pilled libertarians, libertarian Republicans, of course. Sadly, I was getting hell yesterday on Facebook, man. People were mad because I was just talking about why I voted for Trump. It's funny how angry Facebook has become, just this pit, this cesspool. If you think X is bad, Facebook is worse. It's just it's boomerific. It's giving me toxic Marxist vibes. Like I thought Mark had fired all of those idiots over there, but like, you know, I think its problem is that it's like stage 4 brain cancer over there at Meta. You're never going to be able to just be clean unless he really does take to his headquarters. If Mark Zuckerberg takes Meta's headquarters to Texas, then they might have a chance. But the problem is, you know, his woke workers are all going to be like, oh, well, let's just go to Austin. And of course, what is that going to do? Nothing but double or triple down on what they want, right? Because these urban liberals, and I say urban liberals as a former urban liberal, these former, they don't want to go anywhere but the city. They won't live out in the woods like us, right? Where, you know, we've got, well, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the skies are not cloudy all day. Do you guys remember when people used to sing songs to each other, and like we used to, you know, sing cowboy songs around the fire? Somebody play the harmonica, home, home on the range. Did you have grandparents that sang to you as a child? I'd love to know what your life was like growing up. Did you have a good, warm, intact family? It's really easy to tell the people, unfortunately, and I think even, you know, the honest people in the chat would agree this as well. It's easy to tell people who had a messed up childhood, because hurt people, and you could see that all over the internet, right? The pain that people project, right? The people, remember all the kids in school, in high school and college and stuff that were miserable, and so they found a way to make everybody else miserable, right? They may have even been like one of the popular kids or a beautiful person, right? And so many of them were sociopaths, right? But just people who will never, they're clinically unhappy. Sometimes it's because of alcohol or drugs or some other influence. But a lot of times it's because they got screwed up when they were kids. And, you have to deal with this in politics as well. People who had terrible family lives, who were raised in a certain way, because the sociopaths, of course, what do? They go into politics, right? Those are the people who want to make misery everyone else's problem, their misery everyone else's problem. The sociopaths, those are the ones who go into politics and typically get elected because, of course, they're willing to do those Machiavellian things that are required in order to get across the finish line, with certain few exceptions, but noting that the few exceptions still are not overcoming the sociopaths. Have we abolished the deep state yet, guys? I'd like to see it. We've got limited time. I think Trump's doing the best he can under the circumstances, where he's just slicing and dicing everything he can get his hands on. I think it's a mistake to think that you can centrally manage the economy with tariffs. This back and forth is not the kind of thing. This is not what we need in the marketplace. We don't need the president of the United States being an economic planner. That's just not what the role of the president should be. And frankly, Congress should not be economic planners, and certainly not the institution that understands the least about capitalism, it seems, and that is the judicial branch these days. Can we get a boo for the Supreme Court? What was the upholding of the decision the other day on ghost guns? What's the deal? Why is it that there are so few friends of the Second Amendment on the Supreme Court these days? It's people just don't understand the Constitution. And again, it's the sociopaths, the ones that they're going to get to those positions of power. Their misery, they can't imagine holding a beautiful, polished, and oiled, perhaps piece of history, maybe even 100 years old, but that sucker fires fully fucking automatic, and it's my damn right to own it as American. It's my right. It's my right, and not have to put a serial number on it. Why? In case they want to come take it away. Well, I thought they couldn't come take it away. Well, what is your job? Upholding the Constitution? Do you do it? No. It's a joke. Clown world. Boo! The Supreme Court. Boo! 2 minutes hate. 2 minutes hate. Boo, 1984. Hey, what's up, Quest Fanning? What's up with those $5? Make me holla. Hey, are we having fun? Are we having fun? The Wake Up America show is a fun show. It's a fun show. It's a funny show. It's an informative show. We goof around. We talk about the news. We talk about politics. I'm weird. That's just what it is. You don't like it? Get out. Okay? It's like America. I'm like America. You don't like America? Get out. I'm with Trump. You don't like the Wake Up America show? Get out. I'm never going to be Sean Hannity sitting here telling you everything you want to hear. It's going to be weird. It's going to be wild. I'm going to do things like, I'm going to blow your mind on this show, okay? We're going to listen to both sides before we make a decision on any argument. We're not going to just jump immediately on a bandwagon, okay? We're not going to suck off politicians. We're going to be honest about the faults, even of the politicians we like, and we're going to call spades a spade. So if you're just here to hear your own opinion repeated back to you in my voice, I'm not the guy for you. And if you can't stand a little canned applause, because we're weird over here, we have jokes, and we're silly, we're a little fun and funny, then again, not the Wake Up America show for you. There's like 5 Wake Up America shows. Did you know this? Whoop. Yep. Still, wake up, America. Just don't go woke, okay? We've got a great show for you today. Camelia Peterson, the king of all libertarians, will be joining us live. Everybody's making these Studio Ghibli comics. Did you see this? I just dropped one over on X to start the day off right. I'm loving all of the memes. People are taking memes from history, historic photographs, and using ChatGPT, they are turning them into anime-themed pictures. And some of them are iconic moments from history, like Tiananmen Square and Donald Trump's attempted assassination last summer. Brad Beckman, you don't need to do that. He says he's here for the weird and the bonus content. He's helping to unlock the bonus content just like Quest Fanning. If we hit the $75 mark, and today's topic is really important, like, I don't want to disincentivize you guys. Like, obviously I need the money and we're building a podcast network. Please donate to help unlock the bonus content. But if we get close, I'll probably still do it before the end of the show, just because it's one of those topics that I probably should not paywall. It's so important for you guys to know for your freedom. But Daddy got to pay the bills. Daddy got to make money. Coca-Cola is not coming to sponsor the Wake Up America show because I will not keep the welfare SNAP benefits for people who use those food benefits to be allowed to buy sugary soda. I know. I'm a tyrannical capitalist asshole. Fascist. That's what the left thinks fascist is. Come on, it's true, right? Well, I've seen what makes you cheer. I don't care about your booze, right? The left committing acts of vandalism. I love the meme that I saw today, the Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained, where he's like drinking and he's like, "Meh," you know what I'm saying? You know, remember that you know what meme I'm talking about, where he's like, he's drinking and he's like, shared one of those this morning. Liberals, sitting back and watching liberals torch other liberals' cars, right? Let's see. Wait, Austin, just pull it up. You have the internet. You have the power. The memes are flying fast and furious. They're hilarious. Hey, Cecilia, thanks so much. She says, have to do some car repairs. Small amount. Cecilia, it's so much. I mean, it's $5 more than a lot of people, and we're so grateful for it. It helps to unlock the bonus content. And if you guys want to, go to the summer collection at the shop, guys, forlibertyshop.com. Check out all the awesome summer beachwear we have. You will be the coolest kid at the beach with our merch, especially the Gulf of America merch. Like I'm so excited. Both of my Gulf of America towels are coming in today, and I'm just like, yeah, can't wait to use them. 95 people watching the Wake Up America show. That's a sizable amount. Click the like button. Click the follow button. If you can handle the canned applause, the goofball humor, the thinking from both sides, and while still considering myself a radical pro-America libertarian, supporting Trump when he's right. If free men don't ask for permission when it comes to the Second Amendment, check out my awesome hat, the Free Men Don't Ask Permission Second Amendment. It's got these awesome crisscrossed pistols on the brim. Can you see the brim there? Hold on, let me turn it down a little bit. Put my head down. Check it out. Oh, baby. Don't touch the Second Amendment. You get hats like these in Missouri at two places, Missouri and forlibertyshop.com. So if you don't live in Missouri, then you got to go to forlibertyshop.com. If you do live in Missouri, you should still buy from forlibertyshop.com. Support the Wake Up America show. Help to unlock the bonus content. If you want to talk to me, well, call me up on the phone. Just call me. Call this number now. No, don't call me. Just text me. 573-319-1586. That's 57. Austin, why don't you take calls? Because it just becomes a shit fest very fast. And you got to have a screener for that. And we don't do screeners. We just have me running the show. And quite frankly, I think me talking to the king of all libertarians 6 minutes from now about Tesla terrorism, liberals burning down other liberals' cars, I think me and the king talking about that in Shakespearean dialect I think we will be far more entertaining. And then at 8 o'clock, Camelia Peterson's going to talk to us about how Anheuser-Busch is pulling out of funding the St. Louis Pride Parade, speaking of Missouri. So now the gay beer doesn't want to be gay anymore. So they're not going to the gay pride parades and sponsoring them anymore. I guess my beer no longer tastes like... Don't say it, Austin. It no longer tastes like girls have Bud Light. The smartest thing they did was hire Shane Gillis. After Camellia, we speak to Daniela Pensac. It's a very thirsty Thursday, after all. Thirsty boys. I know you are, and some of you girls are as well. To have the lovely Daniela Pensac, the Marilyn Monroe with a master's degree, the hostess with the mostess of Culturama, at rumble.com/Culturama. They're on tonight. The king of all libertarians, Daniela Pensac, talking Rachel Zegler's non-Snow White ass bombing at the box office. Bombs over box office. Bombs over box office. International. Call-ins are great if you have a screener, Trapper, but they're not good for a show like this where we rock solo. I got 350 buttons sitting in front of me, baby, and I'm doing just fine. Listen to me. Look at me. Oh, AP will never be better than you because... Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to subscribe to the channel, not mine. I want you to go to rumble.com/liberty tonight, because the king of all libertarians, who joins us in less than 5 minutes, who you shall bow down. When the judge comes in, you rise. When it's Judge Napolitano, we all rise for the judge. But when it's the king of all libertarians, you better get your ass down on your knees. He is the king, the Lord, and master of us all. Be right back. Tesla terrorism with the king of all libertarians. You will go to rumble.com. You will go to Liberty Tonight, peasants, and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We'll send armed men for you in the night. Your ghost guns can't protect you anymore. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
Good morrow, patriots. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, where the coffee is strong, where the takes are stronger, and the truth rises with the sun, unlike your average congressional Democrat. This morning, the kingdom is restless. The peasants are revolting, literally. Leftist lunatics torch Teslas in a political tantrum over Elon Musk's rise to Trump's new post. Apparently, if your message can't compete in the marketplace, you set the market on fire. Meanwhile, over in Castle Donkey, the Democrats have declared civil war again The moderates want polling, the radicals want power. And the only thing they agree on is losing. AOC and Jasmine Crockett are out here trying to steer the cart with no horses, no wheels, and no grasp of basic economics. And lastly, in the most glorious twist of all, Gen Z hath rebelled. Huzzah! The war of the sexes rages, and the young men of this country are saying, no more. No more shame for being men. No more gender confusion. No more dating apps full of green-haired grievance goblins. To break it all down, I'm joined this morn by a man who knoweth no mercy and suffers no fools. He's the Sultan of Sarcasm, the Baron of Based, the Royal Highness of roasting status into ash. Ladies and gents, I give you King Libertarian, joining us now ahead of his full royal rant tonight at 9 p.m. Central on Liberty Tonight, only at rumble.com/Liberty Tonight. Joining us now, the King, my Lord. My Lord, we are so blessed to see you here today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you for having me, your lordship.
My Lord, a grievous tale reaches us from the realm of the West. Tesla, that great maker of electric chariots, findeth itself besieged, nay, by dragons, nor foul weather, but by leftist vandals, Molotov-wielding knaves, and pink paint brigands, angered at the rise of Lord Elon Musk to his new post as Grand Minister of Government Efficiency under King Trump the Triumphant.
Aye, noble Austin, the tale doth reach mine ears with smoke and sulphur. 'Tis not protest, nay, it's his sorcery and sabotage. These leftist brigands hath not the courage to duel in the light of reason, so they take it to fire and cowardice in the night. 5 steeds of Tesla's line burnt to enders in Las Vegas, and more laid waste across the realm. Doth reek of desperation and unwashed man buns.
Oh, yes, my Lord, thy man. The leftist man buns are quite unwashed. I walk past them and ring around the rosy pocket full of posies whenever you must stand around them. Good king, the scribes say 'tis now international. Canadian carriages defaced, dealerships in Texas and Oregon lit aflame. Yet the lords and ladies of the Democrat court say naught, or worse, cheer this madness. One noblewoman even saith, all I want for my birthday is Elon taken down. Is this not the language of tyranny?
'Tis the language of peasantry, who never did build aught of value in their lives, yet believe they may burn down the creations of better men. Their battle cry is not liberty, but envy. And lo, Governor Walz of the Northern Marches saith, he doth watch the fall of Tesla's stock to lift his spirits. Aye, he smirketh as his kingdom's pensions coffers doth wither. 'Tis economic carry with a smile.
And what a wise king of the jesters. Kimmel, that court fool of the left, Jimmy of Kimmel, who winketh at arson on the air as if it were but a punchline.
Mayhaps he shall find his own carriage aflame one morn to see the mirthful such punchlines truly be. These are not jests, good sir. They're incantations. When jesters make violence merry, they summon fools to act upon it. And let's not forget Rick of House Lincoln Project, who scribed a scroll entitled Kill Tesla, Save the Country.
Boo.
Yeah, methinks Rick mistaketh activism for terrorism, and intelligence for whatever goeth betwixt his ears.
Yet the question remains, dear king, what driveth such madness? Is it hatred for Musk alone, or fear of what he and Trump might accomplish?
'Tis both, dear Austin. Musk hath wrestled the scepter of speech from their clenched fists, He hath built the carriages with no oil, in his mind not bound by bureaucracy. He turneth his talents towards cutting the beast of government down to size. The bloated beast roareth in rage. He calleth him Nazi. They hurleth bombs, but their arrows strike him not. They strike liberty herself.
A dire warning, my liege. Very dire warning. For if this be allowed to continue, the marketplace shall wither beneath tyranny's flame.
Aye, and as mark this well, good viewers of Wake Up America, when thou burnest a Tesla for spite, thou burnest thy neighbor's chariot, thy pension's gold, and thine own freedom. These are not protestations. They are peasant tantrums dressed as righteousness.
Aye, my lord, aye. Your grace, then let this be the call to the realm. Stand against violence. Stand for liberty, be it from thy neighbor's porch to the highest halls of power. King Libertarian, thy wisdom as ever cutteth through the fog like Excalibur through warm butter. Huzzah!
Huzzah! And to those torch-bearing toddlers on the left, I say, thou canst not cancel the free market with kindling and tweets. Try it, and ye shall face the wrath of the marketplace and memes alike.
Now, good king, methinks we hath yet another tale of folly from the land of the donkey banners. It seemeth their noble house be at war with itself. The moderate knights on the left whisper of retreat and reason. Yet the leftmost ladies of shrill persuasion, like Dame Alexandria the Occasional and Lady Jasmine of Crockett, would rather charge ever leftward into the abyss.
Aye, Austin. Is like watching a band of jesters argue over who shall ladeth the parade into the moat. One sideth mumbleth, perchance we hath gone too far, whilst the other, led by Lady Crockett of Screeching Hairpiece and AOC Duchess of Delusion, demandeth more taxes, more tyranny, and more TikToks.
Indeed, huzzah! Lady Slutkin of Michigan, a knight errant of swing districts, hath the gall to question what the hard left hath truly accomplished. A fair query. Yet she wraps it in silk, saying, I don't fault AOC, for her land is different. I suppose it be filled with unicorns and student loan fairies. Huzzah! Huzzah!
By my sword, the only thing Lady AOC hath built is a mighty tower of social media posts and empty virtue. And now she stompeth about the realm, crying, we must fight harder, as though shouting louder shall make communism smell sweeter.
And what of Lady Jasmine, O king? The newest oracle of the progressive pantheon, hailed as the future of the realm, though she speaketh oft without knowledge, yet always with noise.
Yes, Lady Crockett, the war maiden of cable news panels, she doth shout as though volume itself were wisdom. 'Tis said she once confused a motion to the table with a request for dining reservations. And yet she ascendeth. For in the donkey kingdom, credentials matter not, so long as thou hate Trump and flatterest Marx.
Oh, it was sad. 'Tis truly sad, your majesty. Yeah. Truly sad. And Bernie the Ancient, aye, he too hath joined the chorus, railing that the Democrat House is controlled by billionaires and consultants, yet somehow he remaineth a millionaire prophet, crying for revolution while sipping chamomile aboard his third estate.
Tis the grift eternal, dear Austin, for thou seest the leftist lords and ladies cannot retreat, lest they betray the cult of progress. To admit fault would rend asunder their sacred scroll of righteousness. They proclaim that they were on the right side of history, even though they fought for the boys in frocks to race girls in javelin tosses.
Indeed. The men and the women jousting. So, how shall they now proclaim moderation after waging a holy war on meat, coal, gas, gender, and grammar? Their only path now is forward, straight off the cliff.
The Democratic Civil War, my lord, is but a puppet show. For the moderates, if there is still such a thing, hath bent the knee. The radicals wear the crown now, and the sane hath surrendered, leaving the court in the hands of clowns.
So, wise king, what wisdom wouldst thou offer the people of this great land as they watch the donkey lords devour themselves?
Hark, good folk of the realm, when thine enemy warreth with itself, bring not thy sword, but thy popcorn. Let them flail and screech, for the creed of madness consumeth itself in time. Yet beware, good folk, they seek to rule still, to bind thee in the chains of equity and green dragons.
No, my lord. No, it shall not happen. Long says we shall live. Let us raise our goblets, noble king, not in despair, but in laughter. For truly, the only thing more entertaining than watching them Democrats eat their own is watching them ask for seconds. Huzzah!
Huzzah! A toast indeed to liberty, to laughter, to eternal foolishness of those who believeth more socialism shall cure the wounds that socialism itself hath wrought.
Huzzah! Amen. Your grace. And thus we press on, good viewers. Liberty tonight remaineth thy torch in the darkness. Join us at the 9th hour past supper on Rumble, where the madness of the realm shall ever be met with mockery and truth.
And remember, never trust a lass who can't explain how a bill hath become law, but demandeth thine money to forgive her basket weaving degree.
Huzzah! We shall ne'er trust them. And now, my liege, to the final tale of this eve. 'Tis a war, but not one fought with sword nor flame. Nay, this be a war of the sexes. The Democrats, in all their wisdom, hath declared the young men of this realm to be persona non grata, and lo, it backfired most gloriously.
By the beards of the founding fathers, at long last, young squires of Gen Z hath thrown down their man buns, lifted the dumbbells, and donned the red cap of rebellion.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! No longer shall they kneeleth before the she-witches, screeching about toxic masculinity. Nay, they hath chosen Trump, memes, biceps over Birkenstocks.
Huzzah! Indeed!
Huzzah!
Indeed. The left believed the youth would carry their banner for all time. They saw Trump as a relic and forgot that young men don't much care for lectures from rainbow-haired high priestesses of cancel culture. The result? Gen Z now ringeth with the cry, build the wall and the squat rack. Huzzah! Huzzah!
Aye. And what hath the left offered these fine lads? They told them, thy manliness is violence, thy jokes are hate, thy interest in ladies oppression. 'Tis madness. When even a compliment becomes a crime, what choice hath a lad but to flee into the arms of barstool libertinism and Joe Roganism's wisdom?
And so Trump, once the champion of boomers, now rideth high upon the TikTok winds, hailed by Jim Bros, podcast pilgrims, and meme lords alike. 'Tis a political realignment the likes of which would make Churchill rise from the grave just to nod in approval. Huzzah!
Huzzah, yes. Churchill would saith, if thou be not a liberal at 20, thou hast no heart. But if thou stayeth a liberal after 4 years of gender studies, thou hast no job.
Huzzah!
Churchill. Direct quote.
the Me Too mobs, the feminist sermonizers, the DEI inquisitors, they hath burned their bridges with young men. They said, be more like women, and then wondered why no man wouldst vote for them.
And now the young men hath say, nay, good madams, I shall not apologize for my voice, nor for my shoulders, nor for saying I thinketh young maiden be fair. And what doth the left reply?
Your Grace! Oh, you kill me, Your Grace. So tell me, O King of Liberty, what say you to these young men rising up? Is this but a moment or the start of a mighty movement?
This, dear Austin, is the great uncanceling, a masculine renaissance. These lads seeketh not hate, but freedom. They yearn not for tyranny, but truth. They saith, let me speak, let me lift, let me jest. And if a lass be offended by my joke, let her simply swipe left.
Huzzah, Your Grace! And that if they do not loveth the realm of the States United, then get out. So to all our lads out there, if thou art tired of being told thou art evil for being born a man, if thou art weary of double standards and purple-haired prophets of doom, welcome to the right. The water's warm. The memes are dank. Huzzah!
Huzzah. And the maidens here, dear viewer, are not offended by testosterone. They prefer it. Ha ha!
Huzzah! So take heart, friends, the tide is turning. The war of the sexes may rage on, but truth and liberty now hath armor and protein powder.
And if thou wouldst like more mirth, madness, and medieval mayhem, then march thee forth to rumble.com/liberty tonight. There we shall gather every Thursday on the 9th hour past supper to roast tyrants, honor freedom, and restore sanity with laughter.
Huzzah! Like, follow,
Huzzah!
like, and follow. Dear viewer at rumble.com/liberty tonight. For as long as we have free speech, we shall use it loudly. Your Grace.
To General Trump, to liberty, to envy every lad who dareth speaketh after being told to shut his manly mouth. Huzzah!
Huzzah! Your Majesty, thank you for your wisdom and your grace today. We shall see thee tonight at rumble.com/liberty tonight at 9 p.m. I gotta say, it is a wonderful thing to have the beloved king of all libertarians joining us here every Thursday. On Thirsty Thursday, no less. It's like a royal flush. It's a royal Thirsty Thursday. I'm Henry the Eighth, I am. Henry the Eighth, I am, I am. I told you it was going to get weird. Click the like button and follow if weird's your thing. It's just a little entertainment. Have you noticed all of the anime memes people have been sharing over on X? They've been going wild with historic memes. I feel like I need to hit that story because I did advertise it after all. We're going to have Camelia Peterson join us in about 10 minutes, but for 5 minutes, I can show you this is, and then we're going to make one together. We're going to take like a historic picture and we're going to make an anime meme. You can do it obviously for yourself. I did myself in my Karate Gi. You can also do it from historic pictures, any photo, almost. We already saw that there was a limit to, somebody did try to do a pornographic one, and that did not work. But I have, if it would pull up, here we go. So this is the Ghibli style of animation that everyone is sharing today. This is the newest fad. You'll see this today on Fox News when it was happening yesterday. You'll see it here before you see it on Fox News. This is someone taking a picture of Trump's iconic fight after he was almost assassinated in Pennsylvania, which I do believe was a major reason for why he got elected. And then underneath it, you can see here, Tank Man. This is the actual photograph, but what's occurring is that it's being converted by AI into a certain style of animation. This is, if you've seen the movie Spirited Away, Miyazaki, a beautiful, it's a very classic style of anime. It just reminds me very much of the kind of, some of the cartoons that you might have watched if you were a child of the 80s. You would have seen cartoons with these types of styles. Every once in a while I would get like Japanese videotapes from like my cousins and stuff. They would send me like animes and things, and I would get to watch them at home on our VCR. But back when, remember when there was no internet? Does anybody else remember no internet? Well, here's a life with no internet. God, it was very strange. It was much quieter, that's for sure. Steve Jobs, Apple, dropping the iPhone, talking about the internet. Elon Musk, let that sink in after acquiring Twitter. That one's actually very good. It is called Cell Drawn Anime. Thank you, Cephirius. And I'm glad to have you here. We love seeing new names over in the chat. We hope that we'll earn your follow here on the stream today, and that you'll come back and join us again for our regular show schedule, which is every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It is a beautiful style of animation. And I wonder if, I mean, it is less beautiful, I would say, technically, from the actual picture and from what an artist might do. Because if you really do, for most eyes that just glance, this is all that really matters. In terms of the question of that I'm discussing, you know, is this art? I would say yes, but with some caveats, with an asterisk. I would say that the artistic choices were made in the choice of the styles. I would say that a composer who doesn't play all the instruments is no less a composer just because he can't play the piccolo or the lute. I'm sure he could probably keep a beat with timpanis and can play, you know, fiddle or maybe two or three. Many of the greatest, of course, conductors can play a majority of the instruments well. There have been a few savants. But for the average viewer, which it could sound like slop to some extent, the average person is going to look at an image like this for a few seconds. Most aren't going to look and examine many of the details, right? So they're not going to question why there's problems. Or you can really just accept it. You know, sometimes there are, if you look at a painting from a person up close, you can see it starts to become more, every painting becomes more and more absurd the closer up you get to it, because of the elements that were used to put the work of art together start to spread out, become more sparse. Especially for a really good style to experiment with this, of course, is pointillism, where you have little dots that create the image, which is pretty much what all these are to some extent. I mean, with brush painting, of course, you have full and complete movement between them. But, you know, when you're talking about the molecular level, everything starts to come apart. At the quantum level, everything comes apart. And it's all just like espers swirling about. When you get on the, you know, past the molecular, the atomic level, everything is just starting to, I mean, you can, if for example, if you had a pool ball, that would be a very hard object. Of course, you could not pass your hand through it, but you could if you were small enough, right? There are cracks in the pool ball. Here's an Afghan girl, the beautiful blue eyes. And I think it is a form of art. And some of it is comedic, and it's artistic if it's funny, right? Because it can be a form of comedy. Here's Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston. Not too terribly good, honestly. Some of these are better than others. Elon Musk smoking marijuana, love it. Funny, perfect, looks just like it. That's all we needed. You know, if you look close, what are you really seeing here? Okay, where's the flaw? You can always pretty much find at least one flaw, which, you know, here it's since occupy, it's tried to make it an R, right? But still, it's a damn good job, and it does the job. Jeff Bezos, oh, come on. Jeff Sachs have been growing on me. George Bush getting the 9/11 news, kind of didn't need to see that. Jackie Kennedy jumping out of the vehicle. I thought it was nice of them to be tasteful and leave the flowers there and not show John's, head being blown open from the Zapruder tape. And this is where, it doesn't really do it for me for the flag raising over Iwo Jima. I think when it has faces, that's really when it comes into its own. But they're taking historic photos, memes, Wright brothers in flight, VJ Day kiss, victory over Japan Day kiss. This is a great meme for those who know, Kash Patel, Greta Thunberg, how dare you? Elon with Lil X, the CEO of NVIDIA, signing to somebody's chest. Here's Trump and J.D. Vance giving Zelensky hell. It's actually beautiful. But the people are retarded, and they don't deserve such good things. Zuckerberg looking down the chest of Jeff Bezos' wife. These are great. He's got that look in his eyes. Oh, Zuckerberg. Who knew? Who knew you were a man? Saw the testosterone he must be taking. Toronto's plane crash doesn't really do it for me. Trump working at McDonald's. Yusuf Dykik. His incredible views. Hillary Clinton inside a normal poor person's house, like looking at it like, oh my God, I can't believe people actually live in this kind of environment, and this is what I want people. This is what my communism has brought these people. Oh, it's my boy John McAfee, Bitcoin 100K, or he'll eat his, but he never ate it. He never did. That's what it is. He committed suicide so he wouldn't have to eat his dick. Austin, boo. I know. Too soon? I think John would have appreciated that joke. Why do you think John loved me? A lot of libertarians didn't quite understand. Why? Because I'm such a straight edge compared to so many libertarians, right? I'm a wild-eyed libertarian amongst libertarians. I'm a psycho normie, basically the anarchist libertarians think I'm like Mitt Romney or something. And then the conservatives think that I'm like, James Dean driving around like young punk, you know what I mean? Because troublemaker, shit stir, somebody's got to cut the spending and cut the taxes. And if it's not going to be you, then it's going to be me, the asshole, okay? Let's go get Camellia. Bud Light is no longer sponsoring the homosexual pride parade in St. Louis. The gays are angry. Will they riot? I don't know. They'll find another beer to drink, I'm sure. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Yeehaw!
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
Well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
it always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Quest Fanning's the man. Thanks, Quest. We're here. We're queer. We don't drink beer. Not a bad one, especially since you paid me to say that. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. If you haven't already, click the like button and the follow button as well. The Wake Up America show is a 5-day-a-week show. We have bonus content for you. Help us to unlock it. I think I'm going to, if we get close to the $75 goal, I'll still play it because it's kind of a big story and it's really important to our liberty. But I am saying that it would be wise to support the Wake Up America show so that we can continue to bring you 5 days a week. Don't you love hanging out with the king of all libertarians? Don't you love hanging out with the lovely ladies of liberty on a very thirsty Thursday? It would not be a thirsty Thursday. We would be parched without the lovely Camellia Peterson. That's one of the nicer interviews, openings that she's gotten here on the Wake Up America show. What's up, CJ?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
It's springtime in Missouri, and so things are looking up. I think I was traumatized by winter, so like every time I see flowers, I'm like, oh, it really is spring. I'm so happy.
I know, yes. Missouri's spring is so beautiful, isn't it?
It is. Outside the Capitol, there are huge. I think they're tulip trees, but they have those beautiful pink blooms just covered with them. And there's 2 giant trees like that out the front of the Capitol. It's so pretty right now.
I love it. It's a beautiful thing to live in central Missouri. And for those who are listening in this morning, who are joining us from Missouri, we give you a special shout out. We love our fellow Missouri peeps, Missouri nationalists.
Yes.
Speaking of Missouri, Camellia, I've got a Missouri story that I think is relevant to a national audience, and that is that Budweiser has decided that they're going to pull out of the Pride Parade. That was a lovely double entendre. So no more Bud Light beer at the Pride Parade. Ordinarily, it would be, oh, we just don't have the budget for it this year or something like that. But now it's a national story, is it not? Why?
Right. Well, I mean, everybody knows what happened with Bud Light, over the last few years when they made an enormously colossal mistake in how they targeted their audience and their advertising. And lo and behold, the free market worked and people literally voted with their dollars. And they said, oops, And now the commercials have gotten back to what they used to be, and they look like they are rethinking their other policies and what they put their money into. And now the St. Louis Pride Parade, whatever it is, they're short like $150,000.
Oof. It's hard to feel bad for them, despite my own socially tolerant views towards the alternative lifestyles as a libertarian Republican. What adults do in their own bedroom, away from prying eyes, is their own business, and it's a free country. It's America. We can have our views on things. We can agree or disagree, but we're free in America. This is not Afghanistan. People aren't getting thrown off of roofs. They're having their beer sponsorships canceled. It's still a free country. But they will cry foul. They will cry free speech. Everybody always argues in favor of whatever is best for their tribe. So it's like if somebody gets canceled and they're a leftist, it's like we just say, okay, it's fine. But then it's free speech when they do it to a conservative, right? If you're not having to actively pay me money, then I'm being canceled because you aren't giving me $150,000. Everyone's stupid. The people are retarded.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, they want to say that it's a free speech issue, that their rights are being violated, this, that, and the other. But the thing is, too, is that, Pride Month, Pride celebrations are certainly not what they started out to be. And what they have become is they want everybody to accommodate them in the public square and celebrate them. But it has turned into debauchery, public nudity, and doing obscene, lewd things in the faces of children. No, no company, let alone a municipality itself, should have any part in funding organizations like that. Especially, you're not talking about something somebody's doing in a private venue. You're talking about something that they're doing on the streets of your city. Like that is, if we want to talk about public square, that is literally your public square. Those are my taxpayer dollars that are funding that too.
It's like the pro-life lobby. It's like, so like a lot of these institutions, like the NCAA, they exist now to perpetuate the outrage and to if there isn't any actual oppression going on, then they will make sure that they manufacture depression. Jussie Smollett, right? Perfect example. Juicy Smollett, right? They have to manufacture hate crimes because there isn't enough supply to meet the demand. And there's a lot of demand in the United States for hate crimes. They want the stories, the front page. The best thing that could ever happen to People magazine, or especially in these like the left-wing, Hollywood tabloids or what have you, the best thing that could happen for them to get ink is if some white guy in Arkansas were to do a gay bashing, and then for weeks and months and years we would hear about it, right? Dylan Shepard, we get it, right? Oppression did occur in the past. But it is something like with the problem of the African American community. Jim Crow ended in the 1960s, right? Sins of the fathers and all of that, right? The gay community has, and many of them have really split. And as usual, it's the men, the gay men, who are starting to look at their fellow. They're looking at the L's, the B's, and the T's, and going Q, K, Q, I, A. Plus and plus, little sisters, right. It's time to clean house. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Boys will be boys.
It's like so many things, and what you just talked about. It's taking very real, legitimate issues that needed to be addressed. But then once you start making progress to that end, if something doesn't exactly meet your standards, you perpetuate that. And it's literally the perpetuation of victimhood. Like you take it to the very extreme that they're living like the victimhood is their lived experience, right? And so that's why it blows up, because there's always got to be something else. And you have to, in order to maintain that victimhood status, you have to constantly do things that will draw more ire and be more outrageous. And I think that especially with the Pride celebration things these days, that's where we're at. They make I know we talk about the issue of drag shows and things like that, and people can debate that all day long. But whenever you are talking about where there are children and you are in the public square and you're having kids put dollar bills in scantily clad transgender persons' clothing, I'm sorry, like there's only one place that you do that, and it's not a place that's suitable for children.
Yeah, you talk about like being an ally, and it's interesting too how the kind of the liberty community has split over this because. I don't really think of like Jeremy Kauffman per se as like a really socially conservative person, but he has some pretty harsh views about homosexuality and its views and its potential benefits or detriments to society. Certainly, is there an honest person other than like an actor in Hollywood who wants their kid to be gay or trans? Because I know that there are the Cynthia Nixons who like somehow have 3 transgender children, but I mean. I know so many gay people who say I would never choose this. It would not. Yeah. It's made my life nothing but hell and pain. It's not what I. It's a suffering. You don't want your kids to go through that or to be a part of the community. We don't have to like celebrate openly in the streets, right? The behavior that is harmed you. If it indeed it is harming you. I mean, I think there's an evolutionary basis from it, but these are complicated conversations that America's not ready to have because, well, you get canceled.
Well. And unfortunately, the extremists in these groups, which is what you have that get the most attention now, they have done harm to something that was, originally legitimately needed to be addressed. And so it's like we've come so far from where we started, and they are actually doing more harm than good anymore, which is why so many people in the gay community are like, we don't want to have anything to do with you guys anymore because this is
my brother, right? So the conversations that my brother and I have been having on the show on Fridays when I can get him on it's just fascinating because he is based in Red Pill now. There's still obviously the authoritarian and Christian nationalist types in the GOP, and they just straight, then there's the straight up bigots, right? And they just are never going to get along with that faction. But I mean, from George W. Bush and beyond, I mean, gay Republicans, gay conservatives, it's really not unheard of.
And the unfortunate thing about this is that all of this extreme behavior then has led to more bigotry on the right because it kind of gives those people that are among us on the right like cause to say, look, see, we told you so. Mm-hmm. This was what was always going to happen, right? Even though it's like you could say that of any social cause group, no matter what the issue is. But
and that's what will bring the Democrats victory in the next election, right? So that's
right,
and that's the thing is that they can't ever admit it. Like what happens is that a group gets after they have a political victory. Their chests puff up and they're geniuses and that maybe they didn't get lucky. You know what I mean? Like Trump in some ways in 2016 got lucky because Hillary was a terrible, terrible candidate. She was deeply unpopular, including in her own party. And he got in by the hair of his chinny chin, right? It wasn't some genius bold thing. By the time Trump, he didn't win the second time, despite what his followers say, and then because he didn't serve in the Oval Office. And then by this term around, it's not even the same Trump movement as the original Trump movement. MAGA in 2016 was for rednecks and for Rust Belt types. That was the coalition. The MAGA coalition was just the rednecks and populists. And then 2020, he lost a lot of that base because of what happened with COVID-19. And the reason why he won in 2024 is because a lot of gays and blacks and Mexicans and other, immigrants from Cuba,
right?
And probably, and I'll bet even a few illegal immigrants, those ones that the Republicans are always terrified of voting. I'll bet you a few of them illegal immigrants who actually managed to get a ballot and vote probably voted for Donald Trump. Am I wrong?
Well, and here's the thing, and also
for telling the truth, they hated him because he told the truth. Crucify me.
That's right. And also you just had the situation for the previous 4 years was just so dire. Like, could we have had a worse president? I mean, it just is like, it should have been a slam dunk, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, with what he was up against, like, like it was just so bad. I don't know if you saw just here in the last couple of days, I guess there was a race in Pennsylvania, and it was like one of their state legislative, I can't remember, it was Senate or House races, and the Democrats flipped a deeply red seat to blue.
I saw that.
And so this is like, it's easy in your win to think that, you accomplished this huge thing in 2024. But I'm nervous about the
Yeah,
midterms
me
because
too.
I think
Me too. No, they don't see it. They don't see it, right? And a lot of it is they're being misled by the influencers on the right, right?
Yes.
It's more than just like the grifters who are taking Coca-Cola money to shill
Right.
for SNAP benefits. I mean, the right is laying the seeds of its own destruction right now. And just
Yes.
it's the same way we're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, those people are going to they got, they sure are fun to watch on TV, but you're going to follow them right off of a cliff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So I don't know if it was Seth Dillon or Joel Berry, one of the Babylon Bee guys posted the other day. There was some kind of headline about the young white males that were voting for Trump, and so his point is that the right kind of thinks that they're pulling all of these young white men to conservatism, but that's not true. Like they're not going to the Democrats, but they're also in their awakening, they're also not really going to conservatives either. They're like they're somewhere there in the middle, which is libertarianism.
Yeah.
But it is conservatives will kill their own movement with their confirmation bias about that they think they've got this victory.
We've got it.
It's happening.
A movement,
right?
It can vanish.
And there's and all the organizations we want to win, we're going to do a lot of resulting. And so in Wisconsin, there's a race right now that's really important there's a Supreme Court judge. And so, Scott Pressler is there, like there's TPUSA is there, everybody's knocking doors, it has a huge impact on the state. So TPUSA is putting out all of these glowing stats that look like Republicans have got this in the bag. And people who live and work in Wisconsin are like, that's not right. Like it's going to be super close, and you can't let people think that we're comfortable and they can just stay home and not work. So yeah, it's super important.
Yeah, it's the people, AOC and Jasmine Crockett leading the Democrats off a cliff. We got plenty of people on our side willing to do it, and they're doing it for cash, right? They're doing it for the outrage clicks because it's just so tempting, right? The money is out there. It's in your willing hands. Once you build up a sizable enough following, how can you imagine? I mean, imagine the temptation. You got 500,000 followers or something on X, right? And Coca-Cola, which is a great American company, comes to you and says, hey, I'll give you $1,000 for one tweet. Take $1,000 to tweet that SNAP benefits, right? Well, should stay on there, right? You know how many people would sell their soul?
Oh, sure.
For $1,000? I mean, I'm not gay, but $1,000 is $1,000. So let's.
I mean, it's the same thing too. Like this happens with some of the big influencers. Whenever you've experienced this, I've experienced this. But these people with 500,000 or more followers, and they are clearly getting paid to promote something. So they will find people who, if it's something about Missouri, they will find people in Missouri like you, like me, who have I have a small account, I think, but it's, maybe bigger than a lot of people. You have a much larger account, but they're sending us these tweets and saying, if you'll post this, I don't know what he told you, but he told me, he was like, I'll be sure to retweet you or like some of your stuff or whatever. Like, come on, man.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of this stuff, I got to say, Daniela Pensack, host of Culturama, is in the chat right now. Let's give it up. Follow her over there in the chat. A lot of these she did this interview with this young man, Chris Burnett. And, there are young right-wing leaders like Daniela who haven't sold their soul to the authoritarians on the right. And, it's very easy when you're young to get caught up into fad politics and to think that what you're doing, trust me, as a former, Ron Paul Tard Palestinian, Ron Paul, right? I have a different language from the cult, right, that I was in. it's easy to get caught up into fad movements, and then 6, 7, 10 years down the road, you end up like, well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you ever heard of the crying Nazi. Do you know who Christopher Cantwell is? Have you ever heard of this story?
I have. I don't remember the details.
Well, you know the story of Ruby Ridge. I'll tell you, they take eventually people like Nick Fuentes, for better for worse. I mean, for definitely for his worse, and bad for the government if they do. When the Democrats come back in power, people like Nick Fuentes are going to be like, the FBI is going to have a truck outside your house. It's just going to be what it is, because the white nationalist stuff, the deep state's still very much in charge, right? But I mean, it can be easy to join fad politics that get you in big trouble. A lot of these young white nationalist types who are being swayed by the rhetoric and the propaganda, right, are going to destroy they're going to destroy not only their own lives, but the people around them and who they love, right? You see a lot of these pastors, it's like, I see these doughy, fat, white, pale Christian males sitting in these rooms with like their slippers. I could beat their asses one by one. I could take on all three of them at once and beat them, talking about how they're going to come take our property and that they're going to come and steal our property. Heretics are going to be punished with the state. I mean, we have a saying for this, Malone LaVey, right? Come and take it, right? You don't know, like, you haven't awakened the American beast, right? Yeah, the liberalism with teeth, as I like to call it, right, is Americanism. This weird European statist, Germanic, often pagan young right it has a very limited shelf life. I think the Third Reich lasted far less time than the communists, and we had to fight and kill them too. You know what I mean? Like there seems to be a little bit too much love for old Uncle Adolf, and plenty of people who remember what their grandfathers fought for in this country.
Right. So it's interesting. Jason Howerton posted something yesterday that caught my eye. And what he was saying, he had this like AI generated picture, looked like it's probably supposed to be Jesus and his disciples, walking in a, and they looked very cool and whatever. And but he said, how can we make Christianity cool again? And he kind of had a lot to say about this. And he talked about all of the horrible things that the men back there endured, and that they, they did it anyway. They didn't complain. The thing is like, I understand what he's saying, but also I think part of the problem why we're here is that we tried to make Christianity cool to begin with. It's not.
Maybe true.
So because making Christianity cool, I think, is what led to the kind of men that you are talking about. And so it's not, because it's all exterior, it's all show. It's not, it has no depth to it, because, people who like Christianity, when it has thrived, it's not been because it's been cool. It's because it's been real and it's been a conviction. So he's like, I know what he's trying to say. And it's just kind of like, yes, how do you define cool? But
so here's the kind of headlines, Right Wing Watch, they posted, they love this stuff. Christian nationalists Joel Webbin and Wesley Todd urged the government to literally seize the property of, quote, wicked, quote, and apostate churches and redistribute it, faithful ones. You're out in the street instead of jail or the guillotine. This is the moderate position. I mean, come and take it, right? It's like they don't, and these guys are like, they essentially, they want, of course, the government to do the violence that they're not willing to do, right, on their behalf. But I mean, like, this is not the kind of shit we put up with on the right. It's
like we went from the churches of, complete love and acceptance and come as you are, and it doesn't matter, like whatever, we went to an extreme with that, and now we're going to go to another extreme, which granted, like, guys like this, they're getting the attention. They are, I would say they are the exception, right? I don't know that they're really the rule as far as Christianity goes. I think they're the exception, but that attention that they get and that elevation that they get online absolutely leads to how Christianity itself is perceived.
Well, it's funny too, because I hear they talk such a big game, and I go to a lot of Republican meetings, and I go like to hang out with the people who are actually like pulling the levers of power here locally and on the state, and sometimes federal levels. The people who actually like are participatory, that show up to meetings and set up chairs and do all that kind of stuff, they're not these people. Right? They have no idea like this kind of movement. These aren't the people who are actually moving and shaking and making things change. This is a lot of keyboard warriors. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Now I have, so somebody was talking to me just the other evening at a grassroots group dinner that we were having, and she was saying, and they're both former DOJ employees, but they work hard now that they're retired in, Missouri's conservative circles, and they want to see real change done. And I think they're the kind of people we need involved. But one of the things that they said they're combating is this movement of this sovereign citizen movement. And it's kind of an example of an extreme movement that sucks in people who are just low information, and you want to work against the system. And I get it. But then the result ends up being like you end up with extreme circumstances that end up harming those people that are in that and that are well intentioned. And it's from from people who are.
History is littered with the bones of the well intentioned. Plenty of people who have jumped on their swords. There's history is littered with the names of forgotten martyrs nobody even knew they existed until they strapped a bomb to their chest or jumped off the side of a cliff to show their faith in their believer and ended up getting, turning into a piece of pavement pie, thinking that they were going to get saved and lifted up by the angels, right? And then Ooga Booga and Gunga Wunga are like, oh, he was a good man, he good, strong faith, but dead.
And what impact did they have on society?
It impacted, turned them flatter than a pancake, and the rest of us have to clean them up. We have to clean up the body. Thanks. I love the people who martyr themselves but don't go all the way, and it's like, get off of the cross. We need the wood. All right, Camellia.
My goodness.
We got some. It's cold out here. We need to start a fire. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. We're blasphemous. We're hedonists. We are libertarian Republicans. We're the sex, drugs, and rock and roll wing of the Republican Party, baby. We are. We're the cool kids at the GOP, not the stuffy stick up your butt. Oh, the Protestants are the reason for liberalism. No, those damn Catholics bringing their Irish and their cheap labor to our beautiful, perfect nativist shores. No, it's the Catholics. It's the baby. Friday night, no.
We're the party of
Catholic or Protestant. I'll still give you a big, wet, dirty, sloppy kiss. We're Americans,
That's
baby.
Right.
Anything else you got for us, baby?
No, I will. I'll probably say something more about it in the next couple of weeks. But for our Missouri friends, probably specifically, maybe some people over on the Illinois side, mark your calendars for April 16th. I'm doing a really fun event with Mayor Glenn Kane Jacobs, who is coming to Missouri to help us fight the state income tax.
Nice.
And so, gonna be a blast, and would love to have you guys come to that. But anyway,
all right, Camellia,
that's the party we are.
Camellia, you're a great sport. Thanks for putting up with my nonsense. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and hope to see you again soon. Okay.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
It's a very weird girl. It shows a real weird girl. Would you kiss her anyway? Smash or pass? Rachel Zegler. All right. Thirsty Thursday, after all. You can't be Thirsty Thursday without a few off-color jokes. Daniela Pensack, let's see if she's got any jokes. Joining us to talk about Snow White when we get back.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
Well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
it always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. Austin Peterson here. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. We're glad and thankful to have you here. We're well on the way to unlock the bonus content for today. $75 raised, that unlocks the bonus content. Join the Wake Up America show's bonus content program by dropping a Rumble rant. What I suggest everybody does, though, the most fun thing to do, in my opinion, I love Rumble rants. They make me happy. But I can make you happy too. We can have mutual relations. All right, Austin, it's Thirsty Thursday. Get your mind out of the gutter. Just go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Buy some Gulf of America merch. Our summer collection is up. Stephanie and I have been getting jacked. I've been taking her to the YMCA, the Christian Association. Boom! I got like the dad tummy, but I'm like, I gotta lift that car seat. You know, you got a child who gets bigger and bigger every day. Man, I'll tell you what, that beautiful little redhead baby, you know, she's gorgeous, but she's cute, but oof. If you're 44 years old, don't wait to have kids, right? Don't wait to have, just have the kids if you've got your wife or whatever. I had my fun, but still, I would say it would be good to be young and strong because I'm an old dad now and life is pain. Joining us now, still in the flower of her youth, Daniela Pensack, nothing but years ahead of her. She's joining us live right here for a very thirsty Thursday on the Wake Up America show. It's very early out on the West Coast. Everybody say thank you, Danny. Does anybody call you Danny?
Thank you. Yes, actually, every other person I meet that gets remotely close to me wants to call me Danny.
Is that annoying to you, Daniela?
No, I wouldn't say it's annoying. It's just, but at this point, it's like, it's common. I expect it, you know?
Okay, yeah. Daniela is your name, which makes it hard because Danielle's. So it's Daniela. You probably suffer with filling out forms like me with Peterson, and nobody spells it right. It's always Danielle, not Daniela, and you have to like really correct them. Is that what your life is like?
Oh, yes, very much so. It's literally one letter at the end, and it's gotten me in trouble when it was put down as Danielle instead on like legal documents. So it's certainly something to keep track of.
Daniela, you had your most popular Culturama show ever this last week.
Yes. Yep.
Congratulations.
It was huge. It was pretty fun.
Congratulations to you, Daniela. You see, you're very different. You know, you've got something that Rachel Zegler doesn't have, and that's talent. You're very talented.
I try my best.
As far as I'm concerned, Daniela, this Snow White story, and tell me if you agree with me. as far as I'm concerned, everything about the Snow White story to some extent was kind of hearsay until the actual movie came out and we could see that it was the crap that everybody said it was. But in terms of like how bad Rachel Zegler's personality was, I mean, she's a kid. She says stupid stuff. She gets on camera, right? Her personality is obviously annoying. But when you actually have to work with her, the people who know her, when they speak out, now the son of the producer of the movie has unleashed on her for ruining his dad's movie. And oh my God, it's just ripping. I mean, he is ripping her. He says tens of thousands of people worked on that film and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. She's a wannabe overlord elite, wants to rule over us. And she thought she was going to get a free pass for that when she was young. And now, you know, we're going to send her back to be a scullery maid, aren't we?
Most definitely. And this is just one of those cases, Austin, where it is a theater kid just being a theater kid. She couldn't help but be overly dramatic, histrionic, especially about politics, because, you know, shortly before this film had come out, we had the elections, obviously, and that was a national conversation. And she just couldn't help but take part in that. And so she expressed her political views and how unhappy she was that Donald Trump had won. She took a stance on the Palestine-Israel issue. She's pro-Palestine. So that obviously alienated a lot of people, especially given all the news that had come out about the film even before these events. So, and before her coming out with these, her viewpoints that no one really asked for or cared about. And this is just one of those things that like we keep seeing with Hollywood actors, and they just cannot help but interject into political conversations, in foreign policy, where and they have to share their opinions when really that's not their job. I've seen a lot of people say the same thing on Twitter and elsewhere, saying like, just put the fries in the bag, lady, just do your job. You know, don't try to show your opinions to people that really don't care. And then an extension of that is that not only is it frankly embarrassing to her, I would say to a certain degree, because she did look overly emotional, but more importantly, it put the film at risk. And I think I didn't watch the film. I've heard it was pretty bad. I've seen clips of it. I actually wanted to go see it. I saw clips of it, which prevented me from not seeing it. It looked really bad. I heard it was boring. So I think the film on its own merit was pretty bad, but her viewpoints and her comments certainly didn't help. It did alienate a lot of people.
Yeah, at this point, I think another like full-blown let's go watch Snow White and do a review is just like a mountain on top of a mountain. You know, it's a bit much. But this story, I think, this angle is worthy of discussion because I think it is so deeply personal. This is this producer, the son of the producer, is getting chastised. His name's Jonah Platt. And this is an Instagram conversation. He's getting chastised because his dad, the producer, went to New York to reprimand Rachel Zegler for her behavior because it was destroying, you know, to become a producer as like a fledgling, you know, amateur producer and putting this thing together. It is so hard to get just like one day of shooting for something like this done. And at that level and all these millions, so many people are risking so much money to make a movie happen. And it's like, you know, it's people's dreams. For her, you know, she's young. Everything's kind of been handed to her on a platter to some extent. But these crew members, this is their livelihood. And if they're associated with a flop of this level, it can harm their careers. And so Jonah Platt, the producer's son, he was not taking this that, oh, it was, you know, his dad was the bad guy for telling Zegler, you know, shut your trap. Mm-hmm. But he said that that her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Agreed. And tens of thousands of people worked on the film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires. She represents the worst of her generation, Daniela. Which is not to say that all of Generation Z is bad, because lots of Generation Z is based in red pilled. I believe you're a Zoomer yourself, I believe, correct, Danielle?
I call myself a Zillennial, but
Zillennial,
95.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on the edge. You're like me. I'm a geriatric millennial, right? So somebody's tried to like drag me to Gen X. I'm like, oh no, geriatric millennial. But Rachel Zegler, I think she doesn't really have the context to have the conversations that she's starting. And that's a lot of actors, as a former actor and as a former, I think still, I'm a theater kid. I'm the rare right-wing theater kid, and I do bring up, just like you were criticizing her for, the drama and political discussions. At 7:30 this morning, Central Time, I had a guy dressed up as a king, and we did Old English and Shakespeare. So confirmed theater kid here. So speaking as a theater kid, I can say Rachel Zegler is annoying. She's an annoying theater kid. But, you know, in some ways, you know, without the theater kids on the right, you know, there's no Oedipus, there's no, you know, Macbeth or Hamlet, or, you know, without the theater kids, there's no English literature, right, in some ways. So I want to, and we were talking about that before. Maybe you heard me and Camelia talking about that, about how you're a little different. That interview that you did with Chris Burnett, I mean, you've resisted the allure of the Groypers, Daniela. You could probably get a lot of attention, and you could probably make a lot more money and have an army. I mean, you could become queen of the Groypers, Daniela. How would you like to be the queen of the Groypers? Does that sound was that something that you would like to?
Personally, it doesn't sound too appealing to me, especially given that it's a movement that, frankly, I think this may be a controversial opinion. And I do understand that the movement perhaps has its own internal wars and some people are splitting off. But as long as it's based on Nick Fuentes, I just think it's not really sustainable anyway. But besides that, because Nick Fuentes isn't sustainable, but beyond that, just principally speaking, there's just some issues with the movement that I take issue with. But you're absolutely right. If I were to fully take charge of that, I probably would be successful, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right thing to do. So,
it'd be like taking the short-term pay with like the long. It wouldn't be a conservative thing to do, and I don't know that you consider yourself a conservative. I saw you reading Ayn Rand. You seem to understand. I mean, you are a strong woman with a master's degree, so you have conservative impulses, but you also have liberal behaviors. And which means that you are capable of nuance, right? In a world without lacking nuance, right, where everything is either this or that, good, bad, up, down, Hitler, Martin Luther King Jr. There's room for shades of gray and opinions on these things. But I would say that the challenge that you face is the same one of Lauren Boebert. What happens is with these right wing, especially you as an e-girl, if you will, right wing influencer e-girls, there is a lot of pressure to take the short term pay. That's why a lot of them end up like just going off and doing OnlyFans, and the revolving door. They can go from OnlyFans to political careers, but there's so much temptation to take like a quick pay, to make a quick buck. Like we've seen a lot of even these influencer guys that have big accounts. Men have to have big accounts. Women just have to be pretty. But it must be challenging. You probably face moral quandaries, in ethical quandaries that you will face. I know you will face many of them in the future, but why do you think that the Groyper movement or Fuentes is unsustainable?
Oh, it's multifaceted, but essentially why I think it's unsustainable is primarily due to the age of the primary demographic, which is young men and men between like late teenage years, early 20s. And the main issue with it, I've mentioned it on the show before and on my show, where I think this is probably, a very simplistic way of explaining it. And it's multifarious, the reasons why, but I think it's primarily because, with the dating market right now, not the best. The relationship status of a lot of these young men are not in the best state. A lot of them don't have really positive relationships with a woman in general. And what I think occurs, and what I've actually seen happen with young men, is that once they do form a stable relationship or stable relationships with the opposite sex, usually, what tends to occur, or even have a friendship outside of that political circle in more established political circles as well. But what happens after the fact of that is that they typically leave the movement. And so this movement, even though it's very interesting, but it is geared around one individual for the most part. Like I said, it seems to be expanding beyond that. Even from what I learned on my stream on Tuesday, there's like internal wars within the Groypers, which is very interesting. They were like arguing in the comment section. But It primarily started off, around surrounding one single individual, which is Nick Fuentes, and it's really contingent, I would say, on him as a person. Now, we do have orbiters as well, that are like tangentially related to Nick Fuentes and have their own following, and so that's why the movement has grown beyond him. But what typically happens, what I see here, even with the influencers within the circles, is that the following just seems to fizzle out when they start forming and establishing positive relationships with people outside of those circles. Because what we've covered, by we I mean me and Chris Burnett, my interview guest on Tuesday, what we've covered is that the movement is very dangerous in that it's very unique in that young men and some young women, but mostly young men, that do get into this movement, they really do burn all their political capital, and that afterwards it's really difficult for them to find jobs within this field, and that's really the malicious element of this. And if there are people that are lucky enough to be a part of this movement, maybe they operate under pseudonym the whole time, and like an anon account, publicly, the smart ones, they may still make it out, but those that have fully doxed themselves, are public with their views on this, or public with their work in the Graper movement, and their collaboration with it, it's very unlikely that they will have established careers, especially in politics afterward, and that's really the danger with it. So I think once that becomes more understood, that will also fizzle the movement out, because it will be seen as rather dangerous, and people are becoming more aware of that. But regardless, it remains to be seen. I think some of the principles, the more authoritarian right-wing principles of the movement that is related to it, will withstand time, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on who you are. But as far as the movement itself, and the name and the association with Nick Fuentes specifically, publicly, I think is not sustainable because of just the way that it's built.
So what you're saying is that these young men need to get laid.
Yes. My whole monologue there could just be said in one sentence. Yes.
But it's you say touch grass, but I say touch ass. Okay, so
Exactly.
hey man, when you're in a stable relationship, you got somebody who loves you and supports you, and you don't have to worry about dating. Your life is it's so amazing. Having to try and date, oh my God, I do not miss that at all. And I know that for young people, it's so toxic. I'm seeing the polls, Daniela, about the political views of young women. Most of your peers in your demographic, Daniela, that have the college educated, right? They're like plus 54 anti-Trump. And they're like, they're like negative 54 on Trump, negative 50 on Elon Musk, negative 30 on Doge, right? And at least they still hate the Democrats. But I mean, your peer group, college educated liberal women, Daniela, how have you avoided the trap? I mean, you know, because again, you're still reading Ayn Rand and you haven't joined the post-liberal right. And then, you know, the Groypers have all funneled off in that direction. But I mean, young women with a master's degree like yourself, they're communists.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I believe I covered these statistics as well on my show, but a few streams ago. But yeah, that's absolutely right. College-educated white women specifically are perhaps one of the most, if not the most, liberal demographic here in the United States, and it really is a problem. That's why a lot of people are complaining about that demographic on Twitter. And you know, I try not to take it too personally. I understand it's against the principles, not the people itself, since I'm a part of that demographic. But to answer your question, exactly why I escaped that rabbit hole, I don't really. I thought about this because it is sort of an exceptional case, I suppose. But I really do think a large part of it is related to the fact that a lot of these women don't have two things. They may not have they don't have strong foundational principles growing up, particularly. This is why I think Christianity is important to a certain degree, because of the virtues and some of the principles of Christianity. I went to a Christian school. I was raised in a very small community. And so I think establishing principles and principled foundations in the youth is important. It has to happen younger sooner rather than later. And I think a lot of parents just don't really do that anymore. And also, you see fatherlessness. I hate to bring it up. I know it's like a talking point, but it is true. Fatherlessness is rising steadily, and it has been. And I think, especially for women, I think it affects both sexes uniquely, equally so. But it affects them in different ways. And so I think in a way, how it affects women, generally they typically seem to lead more left leaning if they have a weaker father presence or if they don't have any father. And I think that also relates to or contributes to the problem.
The church can be a powerful motivator to help keep people inside, at least some boxes of ethics and morality, and to at least, because parents, if they're not parenting, they're not reading their children fables, the kind of fables that would teach moral lessons, so that people could understand, so that children could start to understand more complex social relationships. But because, like you say, they have no parenting, I mean, like all the education that they get comes from the socialists and the communists, the professors, who are pouring this poison into the brains and the minds of youth. But I mean, in terms of like where this communism is coming from here in the United States, it's sort of fascinating, with when you talk about the church, the head of the Catholic Church at this point is a communist. And so it's a fair bet to say that for many of the religious institutions around the world, that if they are not communist, they are at least communist adjacent. If they are not socialist, they are many of them at least socialist adjacent, woke or progressive. So there's a minefield that lies in waiting for those who want to avoid progressivism, even amongst the church right now, which is very much in conflict with itself. But, there's a lot of hatred on the right these days for Ronald Reagan, but many forget the anti-communist Catholic Pope, John Paul II, probably the greatest era of the church, when like really the respect for the Catholic Church was at a high. And it seemed that we had religious leaders who had moral authority. But there really is, I mean, I don't see a lot of moral authority coming from churches that glorify Putinism, imperialism, or anti-West views, which, or pro-West views, like they're anti-West views that are couched as pro-West views, but in reality, what are they doing? What are they criticizing? They're criticizing the individualism and the liberty that the United States pioneered with God, guns, gold, and girls. Yeah, we get laid, we drink a little, we love Jesus, but we drink a little, as we say. So how do we square the circle here? I'll give you the final word, Daniela. You are the queen of culture, Culturama. So talk to me about the culture here and where this goes with, Putinists, imperialists, communist popes, communist liberal females, and everybody else is on the Trump dose train. We're setting us up for a conflict of epic proportions. And not just the midterms, but whatever the next presidential election is going to be, it's going to be wild. So tell us about the culture, and then tell us about what we can see tonight on Culturama.
It is going to be wild. And I'm not a prophet, so I don't know what will happen, but I can only say it will be pretty bad. I think that things seem to be getting worse and far more polarized, not just in politics, but also in the church communities, and within culture. So even within the normies, which is, the normies are the salt of the earth here in our country and everywhere else. And everything just seems to be getting far more polarizing, and polarized. So that is unfortunate. And, to resolve this is a difficult answer. I think that it relates to a degree to, establishing positive relationships. And I think to address this directly and the root of the problem would probably be addressing like I already mentioned, the dating market, I think is one aspect, but doing that will be very difficult. And, in part, that does sort of relate to, you could say, female independence or female autonomy as far as civilization building is concerned. So I think these are part of growing pains. I don't think it's necessarily bad that women have more autonomy, but I think, though, if we are honest with ourselves and honest with the fact that, because I do agree with you, Austin. I think individualism is the most important thing that we can. This is why I'm a strong individualist. That's the one thing I can't compromise on. And so I think if we reiterate these principles, and inherently Western principles like individualism, we will come to understand that people are different and they can still have placement and fit into society in their proper roles. And I think that will be the first step in how we do this. I don't know whether it's a matter of policy or not. I don't really think that far into it, but that'll be a difficult thing to address, especially as a libertarian.
Sure. Well, things can improve. Things can get better.
Yes.
And if you've never read the book Renegade History of the United States, let me know. I'll send you a copy, Daniela. You'll love it.
Sure.
It'll make you feel naughty reading about the history of the pimps, pirates, and prostitutes who helped pioneer American liberty. Many of the very first female landowners, Daniela, because women weren't allowed to own land. Women like yourself couldn't go buy a house unless you were also the owner of a bordello. So if you wanted to pimp out the ladies as a lady pimp, then you could own land, but no other women were allowed to own land. They were the first pioneers of liberty, and that don't take that and tell that at your Protestant meeting or at the Eastern Orthodox. Don't tell them that story, but it's a good story, and it helps to show that it wasn't just John Adams and Sam Adams and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson built America, but some of the bad boys and the bad girls that didn't do what they were told. They were the real Rage Against the Machiners, not the fake and gay ones that we have today that are communists. Daniela, Culturama tonight. 7 p.m. Central, rumble.com/Culturama. What are we talking about?
Oh, Austin, we're talking about quite a bit that is going on. Of course, we've been talking about the topic that I was originally going to talk about here about the Rachel Zegler situation. We also have a special interview guest as well, if they are still up for it. Hopefully, they'll come through. This is the Keyed Energy guys, so we might have an interview with him. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be controversial, so I think you guys will enjoy it. So show up tonight.
I love it. I'm glad that we only touched on the Rachel Zegler thing, because now we have a good reason to go to rumble.com/Culturama. People should just go like your channel right now. Just go to rumble.com/Culturama. It's okay to shut down my stream if you got to go to do that. That's fine. I'll take the hit. Go to rumble.com, click follow on Daniela's, but ideally, now that our show's over, just head on through the grift. You have to exit through the grift shop. So go to forlibertyshop.com and buy something nice from her collection, which I just saw, actually. Somebody just bought your beautiful, delicious, probably would taste actually bad, your candle over at your shop. But don't eat our don't eat our candles. Just light them and sniff them. Bye, Daniela. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good luck tonight. Well, that was positively pleasant. Do you like the Wake Up America show? You're not entertained? You did it. You unlocked the bonus content. Way to go, guys. Here's the bonus content. See you tomorrow. Exit through the grift shop at forlibertyshop.com. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thursdays, man, there's a lot of work that goes into Thursday shows. And I'll tell you, we could sure use your cash. So if you can't bless me with something in the Rumble rant,
Oh, God.
bless me with the gift shop. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow on the Wake Up America show. Tonight, we'll see you tonight. Rumble.com/Culturama. Don't forget, Liberty Tonight, right after. King of all libertarians. Let's do it, guys. Let's build a Liberty network. Most people don't think twice when they tap their phone to pay for groceries or Venmo a friend for lunch. It's fast, it's easy, and it's everywhere. But while we were all enjoying the convenience of digital payments, something else has been happening, something with serious implications for personal freedom. According to a recent article from Reason, we're sleepwalking into a cashless society. And I don't say sleepwalking lightly. This isn't a dystopian future cooked up by some science fiction novelist. It's happening right now, one closed ATM and card-only sign at a time. Just 10 years ago, only 18% of Americans said they used cash for none of their weekly purchases. Today, that number has doubled. Cities like San Francisco and New York have actually had to ban businesses from going cashless just to make sure poor and unbanked people can still participate in the economy. And here's the kicker. Once cash is gone, the government or any financial institution has a complete ledger of every single transaction you make. Every coffee, every political donation, every gun purchase, every subscription service, all of it. Traceable, trackable, controllable. If you think that power won't be abused, I've got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. We've already seen governments around the world freeze bank accounts during protests or emergencies. In China, they use digital payments to enforce their social credit system. You jaywalk, buy too many video games, say the wrong thing online, you could find yourself locked out of the economy entirely. Now imagine a world where cash doesn't exist. There's no emergency backup, no way to buy food or fuel outside the system, no ability to engage in private exchange. It's total dependence on the digital grid. And I get it. Cash is dirty, it's inconvenient, and it's easy to lose. But it's also anonymous. It's freedom in your wallet. It's a fail-safe against tyranny. The move to a cashless society isn't just about technology. It's about power. And unless we start paying attention and pushing back by demanding the right to use cash, we may find ourselves at the mercy of systems that can be turned off with the flick of a switch. So maybe the next time you go out, skip the tap to pay. Carry a little cash. Use it. Because every dollar you spend in paper is a small act of resistance. And in the world we're heading into, resistance might just be priceless. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, and no settling for mediocrity, just like 1775 coffee. Single origin, small farm, hand-picked. Specialty grade coffee stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters. Forget stale mass-produced beans roasted just enough to hide the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Ooh, medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness. And Vitality Mushroom Blend, real energy and lasting focus, no synthetic garbage. For K-Cup Cod's whole bean or fresh ground coffee, that's pods, K-Cup pods, go to 1775coffee.com. Use my code STUDIO for 15% off and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and every dollar spent enters you to win a Cybertruck and $30K in cash. So go to 1775coffee.com. Use that code STUDIO for 15% off.